Hey guys, Kerry here. I'm at Sunset Beach on the North Shore. So this is the starting point for the prohibited zone for the new bill that went into effect, Bill 34, which bans commercial activities from the North Shore. In addition to Kailua and Waimanalo, this bill was passed by City Council on the 12th and became a duly enacted ordinance on December 16th, and it was posted in the public notices in the Star Advertiser yesterday, the 22nd. This bill seems to have been aimed mainly at tour companies. However, the bill bans commercial activities in these areas, and that covers not just stops by tour companies. So commercial activities is not only just stops by tour companies, but also other commercial activities such as surf schools, stand-up paddleboard rentals, etc. From the beaches in these areas, in both the city and county beach parks, as well as all of the public right-of-ways to the beaches in these areas. So basically, all of the beaches in these areas are off limits to commercial activities. And so this is an 8-mile stretch of coastline starting here at Sunset Beach, and it runs all the way through Haleiwa. The ordinance defines commercial activities as follows. Commercial activity means a use or purpose designed for profit, which includes, but is not limited to, the exchange or buying and selling of commodities, the providing of services related to or connected with trade, traffic, or commerce in general. Any activity performed by the commercial operator or its employees or agents in connection with the delivery of such commodities or services, and the soliciting of business, including the display or distribution of notices, business cards, or advertisements for commercial promotional purposes. It goes on to say, notwithstanding the foregoing, the following are not considered commercial activities: the use of land for utilities, the use of the premises and facilities for official canoe regattas, the use of the premises and facilities at Waimanalo Bay Beach Park and Waimanalo Beach Park for music festivals, county fairs, farmers markets, organized youth sports for students ages preschool through high school, and educational events that are for students ages preschool through high school and conducted or offered by educational institutions recognized by the State of Hawaii Department of Education, and all activities and programs conducted by the Department of Parks and Recreation and any vendors needed to conduct these activities and programs. So basically, if you are getting paid to provide a service, such as a guided tour, surf lessons, snorkeling, scuba, etc., if you are receiving money to do anything that involves being at any of these beaches, it is now illegal, and no such permits can be issued other than surf contests and approved activities like the canoe races or regattas. This has already been the case for beaches in Kailua and Waimanalo. Commercial activities are banned from Makapu'u Point through Waimanalo to Bellows Field Beach Park, and in Kailua from Lanikai Beach through Kailua Beach and Kalama Beach Park to Castle Point. This covers 10 miles of coastline on the east side of Oahu. This new ordinance now also bans commercial activities from 8 miles of the North Shore, from Sunset Beach through Haleiwa to Kaiaka Point, which is the park behind the elementary school in Haleiwa, Waialua. This new law prohibits stops by tour companies and activities. However, it doesn't prevent tourists from going there in rental cars. So the idea behind this ban is the residents of these communities who are upset about how crowded the beaches are, and when were considering passing this law in Kailua. Kailua was the first town to get this law, and that passed and went into effect in 2012. And back in 2011, when they were proposing this idea, I predicted then that since the tour companies wouldn't be able to go to the 3 beaches in Kailua, that would just make more of the tour companies concentrate on the North Shore. And so they passed the law in Kailua, and then they passed the law in Waimanalo. And so now the combination of Waimanalo and Kailua together makes 10 miles of coastline off limits to tour companies. Tour companies aren't even allowed to stop anywhere within that 10-mile stretch between Makapu'u and Castle Point. So Castle Point is the far north end of Kailua. So you got Lanikai, and then Kailua Beach Park, Kalama Beach Park, and then Castle Point. So the ordinance, it's weird the way that it's written. It says specifically certain beaches that you can't go to, but then it also says you're not allowed to access any of the city rights of way. So like the pathways that allow you to get to the beach. So basically what they're saying is not only are you not allowed at these beach parks, but you're not allowed at any of the beaches between here and here. And so it covers the entire stretch. And so tour companies like this one that just pulled up right here, this law went into effect on the 16th. So this person here with his phone number on the side and his PUC permit on the back rear panel there, as of the 16th, he is now breaking the law by stopping at this beach. But like I was saying about my prediction about this congesting the North Shore, I was saying that with the ban of Kailua and the ban of Waimanalo and that 10-mile stretch where tour companies aren't even allowed to stop, that was going to force more and more of the tour companies up here to the North Shore, and that the North Shore was then going to get congested, and then the residents of this area were going to get upset and ask for their area to be added to that law as well. And sure enough, I made that prediction back in 2011. Here it is, the end of 2021, and sure enough, that law has come into effect as of the 16th of December. So we've just limited the areas that the tour companies can go to. So with the limited area, oh, here goes another tour company pulling out of the parking lot here. So for these city and county beach parks with the blue signs with the white letters, in order to be able to stop in these, you need to get a permit from the Parks Department. And they will only issue 5 permits per district. They've divided the island up into 5 districts, and one of those districts includes the entire coastline. It's like 50% of the coastline of the island, from Makapu'u all the way up the east side and including the North Shore all the way to Kaena Point. That's one district. That's District 4. So the Parks Department will issue only 5 permits. So if more than 5 tour companies apply for that permit, then they go to a lottery system. So only 5 permits per district. And so you need that permit. You have to display it on your dash whenever you stop at these parks. And that permit allows you up to a 90-minute stop with that permit. However, with this new law, those areas that are off limits, the Parks Department cannot issue a permit for the parks in those areas. So the permit will contain a blurb that says that this permit is not good for the following parks. And that blurb just got a lot longer because now an extra 8 miles of the North Shore is now off limits as of the 16th of December. So this bans tour companies and tour activities like surf lessons, the stand-up paddleboard, rentals, or anything that's done along the shoreline, along this 8-mile stretch on the North Shore, as well as Kailua and Waimanalo. However, this does not prevent tourists from getting rental cars and coming up here. And so this is another reason why this is a bad solution, because the problem that the residents are trying to address is the crowding at these locations. And as you can see here, with the exception of this one tour van that is stopped here, all of these cars here, the congestion is not being caused by the tour companies. These are not even rental cars. If you look at these cars, I mean, they're old beat up Hyundais, Nissans, Toyota trucks. These are not tour companies, and these are not even rental cars. A couple of them may be rental cars. I don't even see a Mustang or a Camaro in there. But the problem is not the tour companies. It's rental cars and the local residents.
Everybody celebrate your freedom on 4th of July.
Freedom! So now, if the tourists want to come to the North Shore, they can't hire a tour company to bring them. They'll have to find some other means, most likely getting a rental car and coming up here on their own. And in most cases, a rental car only has 2 people or maybe 4 people in them. So you take a tour van like this that can hold, like 12 to 14 people, which would normally, if he had parked in a parking space, which there is none in here, but there are some parking spaces in here, but he would need the permit in order to park it in there, and they'll only issue 5 permits. Out of 100 tour companies, only 5 tour companies would be able to stop there. But instead of one vehicle like that taking up the parking space, now you're going to have multiple rental cars. So for every tour van that you just banned from stopping at these areas, you've multiplied the number of vehicles trying to park at these areas by at least 5. So it's not a good fix for the problem. It's actually going to make the problem worse. And I know that there was a shortage of rental cars this summer, but then people started using apps like the Turo app, where people were renting their private vehicles to the tourists. So yeah, maybe some of these private vehicles in here that don't look like rental cars, maybe those are being rented on the Turo app. But it looks like most of these are, local residents going to the beach. So here's another tour company. The law just went into effect on the 16th, and it was just posted in the newspaper yesterday. So I would imagine that maybe a lot of these tour companies don't even know about it yet. So I don't know about the enforcement. I know that HPD already has a lot on their hands, is trying to enforce things, and now this is another thing that they're going to need to enforce. And so I imagine that the only way that this is going to get enforced is by the very people, the local residents who are up in arms about this, would have to see this and then call the police, and then the police would need to get here before these people leave. Otherwise, this is going to be really hard to enforce. But if these tour companies take it upon themselves to limit themselves to the law, then it's just going to make the matter worse with the number of small cars that are going to be trying to park at these areas, instead of the tour vans that could hold 14, 15 people, or some of these other bigger ones that are 25. So yeah, it goes into effect as of the 16th of December, posted in the newspaper yesterday. So as of today, this is now law. And it starts here at Sunset Beach, goes all the way through Haleiwa to Kai Aka Point, which is the beach park that's after Ali'i Beach Park. So it's Kaena Point of Ali'i Beach Park. So this is Chun's Reef. Normally here there would be vans for surfing schools and a whole bunch of people out there on longboards. But look at the parking situation here. I don't see any commercial activity vehicles here today. I didn't see any surf vans or even tour company vans. And now we're coming up on Turtle Beach at Laniakeas, and you see the parking situation here on the side of the road because the dirt parking lot where people usually park has barricades on it now. And so that's forcing people to park on the side of the road here. This used to be grass, but because of the current situation over the past couple of years, people have been parking here and widening this out into, you know, a dirt area and mud. It wasn't like that before. This was a really nice grassy area. But let's look at the cars and see how many of these are commercial vehicles, how many of them are rental cars, and how many of them are just local residents. So here's the Turtle Beach down here. And here is the parking lot where people used to park with the barricades. And beach over here where the turtles are. Lifeguard parking. The lifeguard tower there. And now you've got the situation with the people parking here where these people have had to put gravel in order to fill in the potholes that were caused by this new wave of people parking here where people never parked here before. And look how far it goes. Those are not tour vehicles. Those are not rental cars. So here's the parking lot, and then there's the chain link fence back there, and that property on the other side of that chain link fence to the very back chain link fence is actually city property as well. And so this is an area that they could use to either build a parking lot into there or divert the road into there and put the parking lot on the ocean side and make this a parking lot on this side with the road going to the right. And then the tourists don't need to cross the road to get over here to see the turtles. And they could just view the turtles from the parking lot. If you make it, you know, slightly elevated, kind of like a Makapu'u lookout or the blowhole, then, you know, you can look down into the water and you can actually see the turtles in the water. But the idea is, you know, to have the parking lot on the ocean side so that people don't even need to cross the road in order to get to where the turtles are. Hey guys, Kerry here. I am at Laniakea Beach on the North Shore, which lately for I guess about the past 10 years has now been, people are calling it Turtle Beach because this is where the turtles come and lay on the beach. And starting about 10 years ago or more, it has become a problem with the traffic. And the residents have been upset, and you know, the state has barricaded the parking lot that's across the street, and then they opened it up again, and now they've barricaded it again. About 10 years ago, when this became an issue, I went online, and there's a website you can go to that has the tax maps that shows for every plot of land who owns it, who pays taxes on it. And I discovered back then that this area that they just recently put a chain link fence around is actually city and county property. See the chain link fence. So it actually goes back further past those barricades. So the dirt parking lot that used to be here, there was like a barbed wire fence, like a cow fence. Well, it went well beyond that, and so they've recently put up this chain link fence. And so my point is that this is land that the city and the state could use to divert the see the fence goes way back there after this truck. So yeah, you see the chain link fence way back there, and it goes way out. See the second fence in the background. So this is land that I was saying 10 years ago that the city and the state could use to, you know, either build a better parking lot so that there's not the congestion here, or to divert the road into that area and put the parking lot on the ocean side, so that it would be like at Makapu'u Lookout and the Blowhole, where you would make, you know, the right turn into the parking lot, and you don't have to cross traffic. And then the tourists that are getting out in the parking lot, you know, the way that it has been with the parking lot being on the Mackay side, or I'm sorry, the Mauka side, the tourists, you know, after pulling in, you know, slowing down traffic in order to pull in, then have to cross the road in order to get to the beach and see the turtles. And so that stops traffic when they cross the road. And then it stops traffic again when they have to cross the road to get back to their car. And it stops traffic again when they pull out. So if they put the parking lot on the ocean side, they wouldn't have to cross the road and stop traffic to do so. So what I would like to see these people crossing the road there and the traffic had to stop. What I would like to see is them put the parking lot on this side and then make it slightly elevated and like a rampart that you could stand on and then look down into the water to see the turtles. So from an elevated viewpoint, even when the turtles aren't on the beach, like today, there are no turtles on the beach today. But even when there aren't turtles on the beach, you can usually see them in the water, and you can see them better from a higher vantage point, where you get a different angle looking down through the water. And so then, you know, that would also slightly eliminate the need for tourists to walk down these rocks, which is kind of treacherous. The rocks where those people are standing there are very sharp, and some of these places where the people walk down, you know, elderly folks will have a hard time, you know, tripping and falling and stuff like that. And so if we had a lookout here, like the Blowhole, where people could just stand up here and look down and see the turtles. But I know that up here on the North Shore they have the mantra of you know, keep the country country, and so, you know, they're against any kind of change. You know, for instance, years ago they protested in Haleiwa against putting in sidewalks. So even the littlest change like that, people are against. But they've been complaining about the traffic here for over 10 years. And I think this would be a really good solution. And it's one of those things that once it's in place, you know, kind of like how the blowhole is now, once it's in place and people get used to it, you know, they would be used to it. And it would be kind of hard to even believe that they didn't have it before once it's been in place for years. What's happening today is, since this parking lot has been barricaded, it didn't stop people from coming here. They're just parking at the bookends. They're parking on both sides of the road down by where that horse pasture is on the Haleiwa side of Laniakea Beach. And they're parking at the on the side of the road between Laniakea Beach and Chun's Reef Beach, in an area that 10 years ago when this first started, that area on the Malka side of the road was a really nice green grass area, and then when people started parking there, it started wearing out the side of the road, making it into mud, and then started getting like deep holes. And now whenever you try to pull off the side of the road, it's like a drop down, and it's widening, you know, further into the property to the right here. And you know, 10 years ago, before they barricaded this parking lot over here, when they did it for the first time about 10 years ago, all of those cars parked there up on the right, that was a grassy area that you wouldn't even think about parking in, but it's gotten worn into a parking lot now with mud holes and a drop whenever you go to pull off the highway. And let's watch as the traffic goes by, and note how many of these vehicles are commercial vehicles, how many of them are rental cars, and how many of them are regular vehicles by local residents. Here in Hawaii, it's pretty easy to spot the rental cars. They're almost always either Chevy Camaros or Ford Mustangs. They're usually red and they're usually convertibles. So those are pretty easy to spot. The Impala right here, this is probably the white Impala to my right is a rental car. You can still see the yellow sticker from, you know, where they were saying that it's been cleaned for coronavirus. So that white Impala that's passing there, that's a rental car. Otherwise, the majority of the cars that I'm seeing are local residents. This one was a tour van. That was Blue Hawaii Tours. And by the way, starting December 16th, when City Council approved Bill 34, starting on December 16th, this is part of that 8-mile stretch where tour companies are not allowed to stop. Thermal Trans Tours. Oh, there's a car pulling out, blocking traffic. Looks kind of stuck. Smell the weed from their car. Hawaii bucket list tour. Traffic just stopped for those people to use the crosswalk behind me.
July.